So here's the big question on everyone's mind. Is artificial intelligence going to be the thing that finally saves us from climate change? Or is it just pouring gasoline on the fire? That's what we're digging into today. We're going to see if AI is the planet's next superhero, or maybe its biggest hidden threat. Let's just dive right in with a pretty wild idea that researchers have been kicking around. Think about it. Are our own human quirks, our biases, our focus on the short term, the very things stopping us from fixing climate change? And if that's true, could the only answer be to hand the keys over to a totally cold, logical, and maybe even ruthless AI? Okay, that's definitely a dramatic sci-fi kind of scenario. I get it. But it does a perfect job of showing just how massive this challenge really is. You see, climate change isn't one single problem. It's this tangled web of everything, from how we power our cities, to how we ship our stuff, to the choices we all make every single day. So to really figure out if AI is the right tool for this job, we've got to look at both sides of the coin, the good and the bad. So let's start with the promise, the exciting part, the argument that AI might just be the most powerful climate-fighting tool we've ever had.
All right, first up, the case for AI as our climate hero. When you boil it down, AI's potential really comes down to two main things. First, it helps us get a way better understanding of the problem. It can sift through mountains of data that no human ever could. And second, it helps us create better responses by making all of our real-world systems smarter and way more efficient. So what does that understanding piece actually look like? Well, we're already seeing AI predict wildfires and hurricanes with scary good accuracy. It's getting better at forecasting huge weather patterns like El Nino, running super complex simulations of our atmosphere, and even tracking how people are forced to move because of climate change. It's basically the ultimate tool for finding that one crucial clue in a sea of chaotic data. And what about those responses? This is where the rubber really meets the road. We're talking about AI fine-tuning factories to slash their energy use. It can help manage our chaotic electrical grids so we can use more solar and wind. It can figure out the most fuel-efficient shipping routes for cargo ships. It can even help us game out whether a new carbon tax will actually work. It's all about making society run cleaner and smarter. Now, all of this sounds amazing, right? It really does sound like a silver bullet. But this is where the story takes a really sharp turn. Because all that mind-blowing computer power, it has a hidden price tag, a very, very big one. And this brings us to the other side of the argument. You could call it AI's dirty little secret. Before we go any further, let's just make sure we're on the same page with a key term, carbon footprint. Super simple, right? It's just the total amount of greenhouse gases, like carbon dioxide, that get pumped into the atmosphere from any given activity. Okay? Got it? Now, take a look at this number, 279,900 kilograms. So what is that? Well, according to one major study, that's the estimated carbon footprint just to train a single large AI model like GPT-3, one time, just the training run. Now, to really let that sink in, training that one AI model is like taking more than 60 cars and running them for an entire year. Yeah, it's a huge, huge energy cost that's hiding behind the curtain of all this amazing AI tech. So why is it so big? What's going on? Well, the research points to a few big culprits. First, the raw computing power needed for these top models is just exploding. It's been doubling every 3.5 months. Second, the whole culture in AI research has been to chase tiny little improvements in accuracy, no matter the energy cost. And third, something called a reproducibility crisis means teams are often forced to waste a ton of energy redoing experiments because the original notes just weren't very good. And listen, the problem isn't just about the carbon footprint. There are other tricky risks too. For instance, what if an AI designed to place EV chargers just puts them all in wealthy neighborhoods because that's where the most EVs are now? That's algorithmic bias. Then you've got worries about how these systems might nudge our behavior. And of course, the huge privacy questions that come with collecting all that data. So you've got this incredible promise on one side and this really significant danger on the other, which brings us to our final section, which researchers have dubbed the AI gambit. This all leads researchers to describe the whole situation as a gambit, like a strategic bet in chess. We're essentially sacrificing a piece, in this case energy, and accepting some risks in the hopes of achieving a much bigger win down the line, actually tackling climate change. To put it as simply as possible, we are making a massive, high-stakes bet. We're betting that all the good AI can do for the planet is going to be worth more than the damage caused by its own carbon footprint and all those other tricky side effects. And that, of course, leads us to the most important question in this whole conversation. If we have to make this bet, how on earth do we make sure that we win?
Well, the good news is the research gives us a game plan. First, make carbon reporting mandatory. AI researchers should have to measure and tell us the energy cost of their work. Second, change the incentives. Let's fund research that's focused on being energy efficient, not just a tiny bit more accurate. And finally, we need ethical audits so we know exactly what these systems are built to do, and we can challenge them if they're not fair.
So here's the bottom line, the single most important takeaway. AI isn't automatically good or bad for the climate. The final score isn't up to the technology. It's up to us. It depends completely on the rules, the priorities, and the choices we make to manage it. At the end of the day, AI is an incredibly powerful tool, maybe one of the most powerful we've ever built. But it's just that, a tool. It's not some magic savior that's going to fix everything for us. So the real question this research leaves us with is one we have to ask ourselves. How are we going to choose to use it?